As a tournament fisherman, I look for every advantage possible. With the classic spinnerbait, I've got it.
Man's Bait Company presents Hank Parker's The Classic 22-karat gold-plated sample ball-bearing swell to a thin, super strong wire from Maximum Vibration custom twin-tail trailer.
Without a doubt, the classic catches more fish than any spinnerbait I've ever used. All right, right here is where you really got your muddy water and your clear water mixing together, and this is where I started the last day. Maybe that running woke them up. I think sometimes that'll do that, wake them up and you stir that water up a little bit. Come here, big boy. There we go. That's not a bad fish. But that fish would not keep in the tournament. He's about an inch too short. That's about a 14-inch fish. They have to be 15 inches long. That's a good fish, but no help. But he was just exactly like the way I caught him. You can see the log there, brought that spinnerbait right down the log. He hit the bait pretty good. Seems like you gotta hit the log. I don't know, it's like... Oh man, boy, these fish pull. Now there is a keeper. That's just a good keeper right there. I caught 5 of those boys. Second day, about that size right there. The fish was up on the log. This is the little stretch that I caught most of my keepers on the second day. And this is really where I came back and concentrated on more yesterday. Like I say, I only caught the 2 keepers. Of course, we didn't have the sunshine, but I had a lot of confidence. It's about a 300-yard stretch here that there were a lot of fish that size, and even there was one fish the second day, about 5.5 pounds, that jumped over a log and hit it, my spinnerbait, that missed it. So I knew this little area right here, this one little stretch, was holding fish. And for me, this was the ideal tournament. The way that I win most of the tournaments that I've won, I've been fortunate over the years. I've won 13 national tournaments, and the majority of the tournaments that I've won have been in areas that I found fish in practice, and then I worked them real hard during the tournament and made developments during the tournament itself, and that's what I did here. I caught a lot of these fish on laydowns out on the ends of them on further down the creek. And I realized that the shad were there in the area where I was catching those fish. So I just kept moving as the tournament went on, and the water rose. We had about 10 inches of rain in practice. So you had and that's a ton of rain. We had flooding, and we had a lot of rising water. And the shad moved on up in here, and this one little stretch right here had a lot of logs and a lot of shad, and it turned out that this is probably the one little stretch here in the creek that I won the tournament on. And there's still a few fish here, so that was nice. That fish duplicated for us where I could show you what I was doing during the tournament. That fish showed us exactly what was going on. Still doing the same thing. See if we can catch another one. Came right off of that log. Fish hit that bait good, really good. There he is. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Oh, man. Look at that. Another keeper right on the same log. Can you believe that? There's another good keeper. Now, like I say, this area had had several of these fish. I had a limit of these. A limit of these fish right here will weigh 13 pounds and 7 ounces. I know they will, because that's exactly what I had that second day, and that's what I had right here. I had a limit. It's pretty fish, though. All these fish are good, stocky, and healthy. And see, that fish will just barely measure. That fish will measure about, I'm going to say 16 inches. And they have to be 15 inches to keep. So isn't that a killer that you catch fish almost that big it won't keep? Beautiful fish. Yeah. My hands are sore after you catch them. Came off the same log. Same little presentation. I developed this bait. I want to show you the bait. This is the bait that I used during the tournament. It's a 3/4 ounce bait. I have a number 3 Colorado and a number 6 Indiana. And it was really important, I feel, to get the right spinnerbait that had the right vibration and the right blade combination. Of course, the blades are responsible for the flash and the vibration. And this, I experimented. I worked up a lot of different spinnerbaits and I assembled my own. So I just kept working with the blades, and this is the combination that I came up with that worked the best. And I think it really was the best bait because I caught more fish each day than did my partners, and they were all throwing spinnerbaits in different types. So I had a lot of confidence in the bait and this blade combination. And the heavy head allowed me to use these big blades but still get the bait to fall down and to come beside of that log and drift out of sight good. So it was a good combination. Catch me another one. If I catch the third one off that log, I am going to have a heart attack.
Bass fishermen encounter all kind of different conditions trying to catch these critters, and from weather to structure to cover, and trying to find different types of baits to use in different situations. Well, you know, I'm a crankbait fisherman. I love to fish crankbaits. Let me put this little booger back. You know, Man's Bait Company has revolutionized crankbait fishing with their Plus series of crankbaits. This revolutionary bill design has enabled Man's to put baits on the market that run deeper or shallower than any other baits created. One of my favorite baits to fish in this Plus series is the little 5 Plus crankbait. There's a lot of times after cold fronts or fishing shallow points, just various types of cover and structure, that this bait really comes in handy. I fish it on ultralight tackle, on light line. It's very exciting to catch fish on, but it also enables me to catch a lot of fish that I might pass up throwing a bigger type bait. I've caught a lot of good sized fish on this crankbait. I've caught a lot of small fish on the crankbait. Naturally, you're probably going to catch smaller fish in numbers than you are large fish, but it will catch big fish also. It's a very exciting bait to fish. Come on along with me, we're going to fish it around some different types of cover and see if we can't catch some. A lot of times, you can take a shallow running small bait like this, even though it won't get to the bottom out here in this 8-10 foot water. It runs up around those limbs and stuff. Fish could be suspended anywhere in those limbs. And they'll run out there and eat it. The most important thing that you want to remember about a crankbait is you always want that bill digging in something, either digging in the bottom, digging over rocks, digging across limbs, around some kind of cover, whether it be on a point or suspended fish through the tops of trees, but you always want that bait digging on something. I'm not saying you can't catch a fish out in open water, but the majority of the time, the crankbait gets eaten when it's digging in the bottom. That's what that bill is designed to do. It's designed to dive down there and chug along the bottom, and that causes a reaction strike by the bass. There's different ways to work a crankbait. As far as retrieve is concerned, you need to determine your retrieve while you're working. You can watch me during the video. Sometimes I'll crank it fast, sometimes I'll slow it down and stop it. A lot of times when I feel it bump something besides the bottom, I feel it come over a limb or a stump or a rock, I'll hesitate it a second. A lot of times that's a reaction strike. You just want to play with different types of retrieves and get something down pat that's working, and you'll start catching several more fish. There she is. Boy, don't break it. Golly, that's a good fish. On my drag. Oh man. Come on. Look, she's in a limb. She was in brush. Golly, I was wondering why I couldn't move her. That is a good little old bait. Stay with me, baby. Oh, she wore herself down in that brush. Golly. God. Look at that. Ooh, one little hook still hanging in that fish's mouth. She was down in that brush. I couldn't get her out. I was wondering. I couldn't figure out what the deal was. Oh, yeah. That is a big fish for a little bait, isn't it? That right there shows you they'll bite them. You just got to fish them. A lot of times they'll bite them better than they will a big bait. That's a healthy fish right there. There's going to be another in there. We got in here and spooked that. We're figuring something out here. So that little old bait was coming just right on those limbs. She run out by that limb and got it and got back in those limbs on me. There she is. Oh boy, there she is. That thing's working just perfect. We're out here in 15 foot of water and it's coming down the side of those limbs. She's not that big. She's a good one. It's not as big as the other one. Come here, darling. There's always a time and a place to tie in just about any type of bait, any type of crankbait there is. That's why I like this Plus series so much. I can reach in my tackle box and pull one out just for any type of situation I encounter when I want to use a crankbait. Fat little old fish. I bet you we get back in there and get us another one. What you want to look for on any of these points is any kind of cover on a point. You want to try to bring this little old bait right by the cover, just as close to the cover as you can bring it. A lot of times they'll run out there and get it, just like we did in the limbs. You reel that thing down there and get it along inside that cover. If he's there, he'll just like that right there. Oh boy, that's a good fish. God. Oh boy, go drag. Boy, she nailed that little bait. Come here, get out of that boat. That's a pretty good fish. See, that's the, come here. Oh, come here. See, that's the whole deal right there. Going along these points and stuff, that water's just right for this little crankbait. 3 and 4 foot deep up on top of the point, falling into deeper water. That thing's digging along there, boy, she run out there and nailed it. So that's a good sized fish for a little old crankbait. Oh, yeah. Be another in there. There he is, little guy. Now you see, that deal there, of course that's not a very big fish, but they're all fun. But the wind's blowing through that cut like that, a lot of times it'll stack fish up. That could have been a big fish just like it was a little fish. But you just want to always be thinking when you're out on the water. You know, that's the main deal. You never know if the fish is going to weigh a half a pound or weigh 5 pounds. But you think about what you do, pick the right areas to cast into, you catch some fish.